My husband left our 5-year-old and 9-month-old home alone, and instead of admitting it, he's gaslighting me like I'm crazy for even asking where he was. My husband, 43 male, and I, 31 female, have been married for 7 years and have a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. My husband left our children alone and he refuses to admit to it or tell me where he was. I'm pissed, and my husband just keeps telling me I'm making a big deal about nothing. This just happened this weekend. I'm on the board of directors for a local nonprofit organization. I had to attend an event for that organization this past Saturday, and I was gone for most of the day. My husband was supposed to be home with our kids. I texted him a few times and he responded. When I called around midday he didn't respond, but that's not very unusual so I didn't think much of it. Shortly after that, I got a call from my mom. She said my son had just called her and when she asked him what he and his sister were doing, he said they were both watching TV. When she asked where their dad was, he said his dad wasn't there. My mom asked him several other questions and from my son's responses she believed he was telling the truth and that my husband wasn't there and that there was no adult there at all. She said he didn't seem scared to be alone or worries about where his dad was at. He just called her to chat. He has a tablet designed for children, with pre-programmed contacts that he can call. It's only a few people, just family members. I left the event immediately and began texting and calling my husband over and over. He didn't respond to my first several attempts. It took him about 10 minutes, I was halfway home at that point, to respond. I was so confused, so worried, really mad, and I asked him where he was. He said he was at home. I told him our son had just told his grandmother that he was home alone with his baby sister watching TV about 15 minutes ago. My husband denied it and I told him I was too upset to talk and drive. When I got home, I checked on the kids right away and they were both fine. I asked my husband again, where was he? He said he was home the entire time. He doesn't know what our son was talking about but he must have just been confused since he had gone to the basement to do some laundry. I ran down to the basement. It was the same load of laundry I'd thrown in the dryer the night before. He didn't do any laundry when I was gone. I asked my husband why my son would be confused about whether his dad was home or not. Where in our home would he have gone and for how long for our son to think his dad wasn't home? That doesn't make sense with a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. You wouldn't leave them unattended that long. Why was he nowhere to be found when my mom asked my son to go check certain areas of the house? I begged my husband to just admit it, to stop treating me like an idiot and to stop accusing our son of lying. Just tell me the truth, because being lied to right to my face is so incredibly maddening. He insists he was home, but he can't come up with any believable story of where he was at or what he was doing during that time. The way he answers me when I ask him about this and demand truthful answers is so dismissive. When I tell him you left our children alone, he quickly says no, I didn't, so anyway. He says I'm overreacting and letting our son's imagination drive me crazy. I am convinced he was gone. We don't have a Ring camera, but at least one of our neighbors does. I'm so upset about this that I'm tempted to ask our neighbor for the Ring footage. I had to go out to my car and scream and cry because I got so upset. Of course, I didn't want my kids to see my reaction. I can't put into words how upset I am about the fact that I know he must have really left them alone but have no proof and am being treated like I'm just a paranoid nutcase of a mother and woman by him. Update, 4 days later, last weekend my husband left our 5-year-old and 9-month-old home alone while I was gone and then refused to admit it or provide a plausible explanation. Since then, we had many arguments about it. I've been living in a constant state of anger and frustration. I didn't want to fight about it anymore, but I couldn't help it and I kept bringing it up again and again. I couldn't lay low and pretend to get over it while I waited for him to do it again and catch him in whatever was going on. I also knew that demanding he tell me the truth wasn't going to get me anywhere. Since he'd been refusing to talk and deflecting for days, all it was doing was making me mad and feel like I was about to have a brain aneurysm. I told him to hand me his phone so I could check his location at the time. He refused. He said he wouldn't do it and that it was a violation of his privacy, he won't be treated that way and refuses to give in to my delusions. You think I enjoy being in a situation where I have to beg my husband to show me his phone so I can see where he was at? I hate it. I don't want to live that way. I told him it's simple, if he was really at home the entire time, just prove it. Why wouldn't he want to clear this whole thing up? I got so mad that he wouldn't turn over his phone that I told him I was going to the neighbors to get their doorbell footage. At first he was like fine, go do it. He didn't think I actually would. He knows I don't like to air drama to others so he probably figured I'd just swallow all of this crap he's been giving me. Luckily, I was totally being driven by anger at this point, so nothing was going to stop me from going to the neighbors. When I actually started to go out the door he tried to stop me and followed me out the door. I felt pure anger rushing through my veins, nothing else. The neighbor, who I've probably said less than 10 words to in the entire time we've lived here, told me he'd send me the footage. I went home, told my husband that the neighbor didn't have the footage from that day anymore, and told him I just needed to go to the store and cool off. So I put the kids in the car and went and parked somewhere while I waited for the neighbor to send me the footage. I have the neighbor's number now too, and he told me if I need any more footage he will be happy to give it to me. The video shows a blue car that I don't recognize show up and park in our driveway. A blonde woman gets out of the car and goes towards my house. She walks on the outside of our garage toward the gate leading to our backyard. The gate is too far back and out of the way to be seen on the doorbell footage. She in her car was there for 23 minutes. Imagine that. The car leaves right around the time that my husband called me to say he was home and had been home the entire time, as I was rushing home in a panic and calling him over and over. One of two possibilities as to where they went. She either came in through the side door of the house, which does provide direct access to the basement, or, and what I think is more likely, is that they were in the backmost area of our yard, which is a gated pool area. Immediately behind our house is a grass lawn, then you step down a few steps and we have a patio, and then there is a fully gated area where the pool is. It's not like you think of when you picture a gated pool. It's a full, 6 feet wood fence all the way around, plus even taller landscaping for added privacy. You can't see into the area at all unless you're inside. I think it's more likely that they were back there because my son said his dad's keys were gone and we keep that gate locked with a key. The pool is closed for winter, but there is one small building back there, sort of like a shed we converted into a changing area, and there is a covered patio with furniture. I'm convinced that's where they were. So technically he was home, but in an area totally removed from the house and where he couldn't see or hear the kids if something happened. I asked him how he could explain this. What were they doing? I obviously don't need him to tell me what they were doing, but for some reason I still had hope that he'd finally be honest. He wasn't. He showed no remorse. He was just like, yeah, she was here, but I obviously never left. Who is she? How long has this been going on? And if he's going to be such a disgusting, despicable excuse of a man, then why couldn't he at least have found any other time and any other lie or excuse other than when he was home alone with our kids? I told him I know this has happened before and I demanded to know how many times he's done this when he's been home alone with the kids. He swears this is the only time, but he still doesn't have the balls to confess to what they were doing. I don't believe him that this was the only time, FYI. I still have so many questions and I still feel like my heart is beating 200 times a minute. My blood pressure is through the roof. I've cried a lot, sobbed, begged for somebody to help me, yelled, screamed, ordered a bunch of books about divorce and custody. And you know what? The next day after our multiple explosive fights, him putting his hands on me, and me seeing the evidence, he acted like everything was totally normal and like none of that stuff ever happened. I woke up still seething, exhausted, broken, and he's acting like everything is totally back to normal. He said he was ordering breakfast to be delivered from our favorite breakfast place. He asked if I wanted to go to the store together later and try this new recipe for chili tonight. What? Why would I want to do any of these things with you now? Absolutely no acknowledgement of anything he's done or what's transpired between us in the past few days. He deserved an Oscar for how well he was able to act like none of that happened, completely comfortable and non-fazed. I know that it's a waste of my energy, but I just desperately want him to admit the full truth of what he did that day and any other day with this woman. I want to hear it from him. It won't change whatever he's done, but he could at least have the respect and decency to be honest now that he's been caught. That's a ridiculous thought though, right? How foolish of me to expect this man to show decency and honesty now. If he was a decent and honest man, then he wouldn't have had a strange woman over to our house and been out of sight from our kids for 23 minutes. His continued denial and refusal to admit to anything other than the bare minimum, his attitude like I'm somehow being controlling or infringing on his rights by asking for information. That's almost more hurtful than him cheating on me. New update. More than 1.5 months later, it's been around a month since I last posted. I've received so many messages and comments asking for an update and if me and my kids are okay. I'm sorry for not responding. I'm sort of scared to post this because I don't think people will agree with my decision. Initially, I really wanted to be able to share an update saying I had filed for divorce. When I saw that footage of a strange woman sneaking into our backyard, and even more so when he refused to give me any info or admit to anything, even going as far to say he'd never give me the satisfaction of admitting to anything, I was 100% for divorce. I immediately started to research and make a plan. I wasn't in a position to divorce right away. I thought that it might be better to try to keep my head down, pretend like everything was okay, and quietly and secretly prepare everything. Divorce is still on my mind and a possibility, but I'm no longer 100% committed to it. My husband and I are still together currently and living under the same roof. Although he held out on admitting to any wrongdoing, both with leaving our kids unattended in the house and about making love with another woman in the pool shed, he held out for a long time and we argued a lot. I kept telling myself it was pointless and I was only driving myself crazy. He wasn't going to suddenly be honest, and he admitted more than once that he wouldn't tell me the truth and felt no reason to tell me the truth. During that time, I also found him secretly going out to the garage to drink alcohol, which he'd deny. I drive myself crazy finding his stash of alcohol and other things out in the garage. He still denied it even though I was literally holding the evidence. Then, about 2 weeks ago, he admitted he had a problem, or multiple problems, and that what he did that day was wrong. He finally admitted to leaving the kids alone in the house. He admitted to making love with a woman in our pool shed. She's not a woman he's having an affair with, she's a street worker. She's transsexual. He said it in a way like I should have been relieved by all of this. The thing is, I knew he watched porn, never seemed to get in the way of our relationship or our lives. I even knew that he liked to watch trans porn. He was open about these things with me. But should I have suspected that this meant he was hiring trans street workers to have the real-life experience? Honestly, I'm really asking that. Was I naive to think he was seeking that out just because he liked to watch that type of porn? He didn't keep the porn a secret from me, and I honestly never thought he was going to seek it out in real life or cheat on me with a trans person. He also assured me that he now only regularly sees 2 trans women who are clean and safe and very professional. And when I asked him how much he pays these women for their services, yeah, they'd better be a lot of things for that price. I can't believe it. He also admitted to drinking too much and to drinking a lot before he engages with these women. At times he's taken drugs during these encounters too, but insists he doesn't have a problem, meaning addiction. I personally think he's addicted to alcohol and possibly other substances, but he binges them when I'm not around and manages to remain normal and sober when I'm around. He started drinking more heavily and regularly since that day, hence the hiding booze in the garage and chugging it when he thought I was in the shower. He says he's doing it because he's so stressed about me leaving him and because he knows he's a piece of crap for everything he's done to me and our kids. He's not allowed to be left alone with our kids anymore. He's also not allowed to make love with me for the foreseeable future. Neither are meant as punishment. These rules are in place to keep me and our kids safe, plus I have no emotional or physical desire to be intimate with him now. So, I don't know that our relationship will survive. He fears his job will be compromised if he seeks help for any of this. I'm at the point where it's like screw your job, we'll find some way to survive. This is way bigger than a job. He has stopped drinking, at least as far as I can tell. He took 2 weeks off work to try to figure himself out. He's been helping around the house and doing all of the things a good husband should do. I have hidden cameras installed all over my home and property. I don't want to live this way, but I'm not ready to file for divorce yet. I hope to get to a place financially and logistically where I can at least be prepared so that I could file for divorce at the drop of a hat if I absolutely needed to. I've told him this. He's aware that I've been preparing for divorce. He did ask me about lovemaking today, how long it'd be before I'd finally be intimate with him again. It's been mere weeks and he's already asking that, which is unbelievable in a way, yet this man masturbates several times a day without fail. I don't believe in a lovemaking addiction, or I didn't before, but I'm starting to wonder if it could be a real thing and if my husband has it. He isn't saying he does, but I'm starting to think my husband may actually have a number of hidden addictions that he can't even admit to himself. In a weird way, it's comforting because I see it as a defined problem that might be fixable, but on the other hand I'm totally grossed out by it all and it makes me feel extremely uncomfortable to think about dealing with this possibly forever. For now, me and my kids are safe. Things have calmed down. I'm not living every moment feeling completely consumed by rage. I still feel that way sometimes, but I feel a lot more steady than I did. I feel more clear-headed and surprisingly almost lacking emotion about the whole thing. It's like all of my emotions came in one big wave, then just washed out to sea. I honestly feel more clear-headed right now than I have in a long time. Relevant comments. Commenter number 1, you truly don't sound clear-headed to me? Why are you with someone who cheats on you? And left your young children by themselves? And has multiple serious addictions? He can't be trusted. He needs actual professional help, rehab or something. Do you have any family or friends you could possibly stay with? I'm super concerned for your children. OP, I don't know that he actually has any addictions, I've just to wonder if he does. Either way, I'm trying to convince him to seek some sort of professional help to deal with his issues. My kids are fine. They are never left alone with him. They're with me at all times, or if absolutely needed they're with friends or family. Commenter number 2, now only regularly sees. OP, so he's cheating on you and you're okay with it? Get yourself tested for STDs, separate your finances, and keep building up that plan to leave for the day you, hopefully, come to your senses and stop teaching your kids they don't need to be faithful in a relationship or that it's completely normal and acceptable to be cheated on and lied to. OP, the way I worded it makes it sound like it's ongoing presently right now. When he confessed this all to me a few weeks ago, he said he had only been seeing the same 2 workers that he knew and trusted. He had been with other ones before them, but decided it was safer to stick to his 2 favorites. That's even the word he used. His favorites. He looked at me with a straight face and said that. But he's not supposed to be doing anything with any workers anymore. Commenter number 3, how on earth are you safe if you're still living with him? Honey, I grew up with an alcoholic father. No way in hell is your husband going to stay sober. You and your kids aren't safe. OP, I don't know that he's an alcoholic. I mean, he's sober most of the time and drinking doesn't get in the way of his work or anything like that.